welcome back inside the Parisi Palace, high above 2919 East Broadway. This is the Jake Feinberg Show on KEVT, Power Talk 1210 AM here in Tucson. Thank you so much for being part of the program today. And how excited am I that I get a chance on my first show of 2016 to bring in a lady who has just meant a whole lot and to my family. Doesn't even know this, but her songs have had an indelible impact on me and my daughters, and it is an honor to bring in Evie Sands. Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Whoa, that's quite something. Hi, how are you? Happy New Year, Jake. Thank you for that.
Well, I mean, my younger daughter and I stumbled across A State of Mind a while ago on vinyl, and Evie, I mean, we've listened to side one. I don't think I've ever even turned it over to side B. It is, I mean, that was it. It arguably is one of the greatest albums in our country's history. I mean, it's unbelievable. Part of it has to do with your ability to sing, like I don't know, some ridiculous Southern gospel black singer, and then there's just this incredible. I mean, I've interviewed Michael Omarty, and I've interviewed Ernie Watts. I haven't gotten to Hungate yet, but I interviewed Ed Green. Those guys made that album burn so hard, and you're wearing some like cool jazz shirt. I mean, that was before I was 3 years before I was ever born. But that, I mean, you can.
But what you should get a hold of is one of the CD reissues, because there's like 4 or 5 bonus tracks on there that are pretty great.
That were not on the original album?
That's correct.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I haven't
one of the bonus tracks was released as a single, just one of the tracks, but the others had never been released ever except for the CD reissues.
Well, like I said, I'm not even interested in side B at this point. I mean, we opened this show here.
You should check it out.
No, I will, but I mean, Evie, I mean, for a long time I was like, I got to find her, and because that's what I've done for 5 years as an investigative journalist, just track down, musical, artists, melodic improvisers, people, jack of all trades, master of all trades, and I just had this cosmic conversation with Billy Vera, who blew my mind. I mean, that dude is deep, no doubt about it.
Billy is, first of all, is one of my dearest friends, and I'm such a fan of his, and he just incredible. Yeah, he's best.
Evie, just starting off the new year here, one of the L's on my show is love, and I kind of wanted you filled my coffers with my children with love with your voice and your singing. Can you talk about your concept of love and how you bring love to the world?
Well, that's a pretty heady question, but I think it just comes. It's just something I think that just resides inside of us, and I love people. I love music is an understatement. Ever since I was 2 years old, I've been making music, and it's just it's a joy and a privilege, and it's just fills me, and I cannot imagine ever doing anything else as long as I'm in this world.
Can you talk about? I look at love. I mean, I don't practice it very well, but it's unconditional, and also there's a lot of compassion, and I was doing research last night before our interview, and I just wonder how you. I wanted you to take us through the story of when you wrote this tune. Take Me for a Little While. And then, the story goes that, some chess representative ran off with it, and then a black singer recorded it before you did. And to me, that would have created some resentment with me. And I wanted to know how you kept your heart open, and in fact, if that story is even true.
Yes, I mean it's it's sort of all over the internet in one form or another, and some of the the core of the essence of that is definitely the truth. It's like the telephone game. There's so much on the internet that isn't exactly true, but
Right.
but yeah, I mean the bottom line is just that's sort of what happened. Someone got a hold of a test pressing. They thought it was going to be this huge hit, that it was incredible. I was brand new and unknown, and Jackie Ross, who was coming off a #1 hit at the time called Selfish One, was in the studio right then and looking to come up with a follow-up. And so this promotion guy thought he'd be a hero and say, hey, I've got it. And so took it over to the session. They loved it, and they stopped what they were doing and instead tried to, I mean, they did it. They recorded and tried to copy ours as closely as they could, and then they beat us to the street by about a week with the release. So that is what happened, and I just remember we opened up Billboard, Cashbox, the trade magazines, and not the cover, of course, but the very first page on the right-hand side after opening the cover said, "Destined to be #1, take me for a little while." And I remember looking at it and thinking, "Oh, gee, that's the same title of the song that we're releasing next week."
Oh my God.
So we're sort of thinking like, "Oh, well, how interesting! It has the same title." And then within a few hours, I guess, or that sometime later that day or next day, we found out that it was not just the same title, but it was the same song. So, yeah, so it's true. It was definitely not a great welcome to the music business. It wasn't a whole fun thing that happened, but yeah, I mean, I kind of don't dwell on that stuff. That was
Well, no, I mean, I just feel it's important, for my generation and younger generations who can get psyched out pretty easily. I mean, we're talking about at that time there was no full interconnection at all. You're literally you're literally finding out about this on the fly. I mean, in today's world, that never would have gone down. There would have been litigation like no other. But you were so young. I just want to know how you overcame that and how you kept your what I mean, how you. It's so important to talk about overcoming adversity in 2015. I just wanted you to talk about that.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I would definitely not have been human if I didn't experience, tremendous disappointment was an understatement. There were like two or three or four things that happened all in a row at that time. One thing sort of after another, and it was really, really disheartening, and I did find myself being really, really depressed and wondering how would I go on. But I've always said that with music, for me, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time, because there's nothing else in this life that I have ever wanted to do, even though if I had set my mind to do other things, I could. So that's sort of the curse of it, if you will. But the blessing is that it was just like that thing of just putting one foot in front of another and just keep going, because as much as there was pain, disappointment, and just a very sad thing about all of that was going on and really frustrating, the not doing it or not continuing would really have just been just impossible. It just couldn't happen. That was worse for me than what those experiences were. So all I did was, the music saved me, really. It was just to keep burying myself in music and writing and playing and singing and finding ways to make records and perform and just keep going. And I think if something is really strong inside of us, is just to sometimes shut out the rest of it, learn from it, and just stay in touch with our hearts and just keep going.
I dig. You know, let's listen to a piece of music here, and then we'll come back and break it down, okay?
Okay.
I've been trying to make you love me, but everything I try just takes you further from me. You don't love me, no, no, so you treat me cruel. But no matter how you hurt me, I'll always be your fool. But if you don't want me forever, and if you don't need me forever, and if you can love me forever, take me for a little while so I can hold you, baby, so I can make you want me. I gotta stop it. There should be a law. Maybe I need. 'Cause every time you put me down, I love you more. And I feel so helpless. Maybe I need. And it ain't funny. You know I need. 'Cause deep down inside I know you're never gonna love me. But if you don't want me forever, and if you don't need me forever, and if you can't love me forever, take me for a little while so I can hold you, baby, so I can make you want me. Take me for a little while. I'm gonna have you, baby. Don't you know?
On the Jake Feinberg Show, brought to you in part by Abbott Taylor Jewelers, the Circle Tree Ranch, the Jewish Community Center of Southern Arizona, and the Craig Pretzinger of Allstate Insurance, and the Stereo Hospital. And we thank them for their support, allowing my show to thrive and continue here in the new year of 2016. Now that was the original version of Take Me for a Little While by Evie Sands on a 45 on Blue Cat. That's the truth, Evie, all right? You got to tell the truth, and that's your tune. How does it sound?
Oh, Take Me for a Little While has always been one of my faves, and it still is. I think it turned out as such a really great record.
Can you just talk? I mean, your voice is, I cannot wait to someday come see you play live, but I mean,
Soon, by the way, this year, I'm just to digress for a second.
Sure.
I'm so excited. I've been working hard on a new EP and then a new album, and once all that stuff is ready, I'm definitely hitting the road. So hope to see you soon.
No, I mean, I guess, how did you? I asked this to Billy before too, but I mean, you have such a great voice, and I mean, how did you? Was there a demarcation point in your career where you were, kind of borrowing and stealing this and that, picking up on this and that, but kind of a demarcation point where you kind of started to develop your own individual sound?
Yes. Yes. And by the way, I agree. I think all of us can't help but be not only influenced but inspired by the things that we hear. So for music, I had just a huge kind of a cross section. My mom was a great singer. I heard all kinds of great music in my house, from the classic American songbook, great jazz, and then of course all of rock and soul music. And when I discovered R&B and blues and soul music, just moving around, because I was singing, like, first thing I could do was sing. So I was like 2 years old. I would start singing, and then before I got a guitar and could express myself that way. And when I heard that music, it just completely overtook me. And for a while, I was obsessed with Jackie Wilson, Little Willie John, and just great artists like that. So absolutely, I think those things influenced my early fledgling stuff of just trying to express myself and find my own way. And then just as I kept going, I think and then got more confidence and just experience of just more the more I did it, and I think it kind of developed. It's just like like a blob, and it gets shaped, and then became probably, as you described it, just more, if you will, like my own voice.
Yeah, it became like a sandstorm. It became your own. All the cats that I talk to, I just strive for individuality because I really want to push back against what I see as just a huge amount of conformity going on in our, in our time. Just picking up on that from a psychological point of view. But even it's interesting you talk about that. You were up against it. You cut. Take Me for a Little While, and you have a couple of other hiccups. But can you talk about your? A lot of the time, I attribute your generation's ability to have an individual voice sound to the fact that you had a multitude of opportunities to play live. There were just tremendous amounts of clubs. We have a supply and demand issue now, and I just wanted you to talk about, the bandstand. Did the bandstand contribute to your individuality as well?
Oh, yes. I think it was really a combination of the behind-the-scenes creative part of writing and singing, and the beautiful laboratory of the studio, which was its own special world that I love passionately. And then, as you suggest, being able to have, really, I look at it as a privilege to be able to sing and play for people. If it's one person or 10,000 people or 100,000 people in an audience, it's just this communication that happens live right there in the moment. And even if it's a song that, so we've played it, we recorded it, or we rehearsed it, or we've done 100 shows on a tour or whatever. Right then, in that moment, it's happening again for the first time.
Right.
And so that also, I think, shapes what happens, because there's discoveries, new discoveries that happen with the music all the time, playing live, and that interchange that happens with an audience. And so, yes, I would say that, as you say, on the bandstand, that also is part of the whole process. Really, it's like a process of striving just to always, for me anyway, to just be connected to the heart, to my heart in it, and there's a passion there, but at the same time there's craft. So it's balancing all of those somehow to come up with just that perfect thing.
Can you talk?
And every time we sing, play, perform, we have to do it over and over again. So music, that's why music can never be old. There's just so much to know and learn and discover while we keep the plate spinning. So it's magical, really.
Well, there's only two letters that separate magic and music. But the thing is, I wanted to. In my heart of hearts, I want to believe that Evie Sands you were gigging at the Whiskey A Go Go. Can you talk about a band that you had in the early 70s when you got out to Los Angeles that was just cooking around? You're playing 6 nights a week?
Well, I wasn't necessarily doing the six night a week thing, but more selective.
Sure.
Like touring and things. For a while, I had a amazing band that I did some shows like we opened for Pointer Sisters, stuff like that. Included very young and amazing Luis Conti on percussion. We had David Foster, young David Foster,
keyboards.
Sat in with us, did a bunch of shows, and it was a great band. One of the guys, Ralph Hammer, who had played with Stevie Wonder and Wonder Love. At that time, I think with that band, I think I wasn't so much playing guitar, but more keyboards.
I love this. Wait, what year? Hold on. Who was on Trap Set though?
Steve Turner was playing. Great guy who wound up doing a lot of stuff in Nashville after.
And you were what year was this essentially?
That was like in the mid later 70s.
Right. And you were, what kind of clubs were you playing?
Well, we were doing more like performances, like at the stuff like the Paramount Theaters, stuff like that.
Sure.
Open for the Pointer Sisters. So it was fun. It was that band was really, really cool.
Well, I want to play this tune for you right now.
Oh, by the way, funny story, which I won't get into to digress.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the people that didn't make the band, it's a funny story, he and I have laughed over it since, was Steve Lukather. Really? Yeah, it's a funny story. I'll tell you another time.
No, I mean, yeah, that's this is why I love talking to Evie Sands, and this is just settle in here. We got a tune, and then we'll come back and break it down. Okay?
Okay.
Welcome back inside the studios of KEVT, and we're talking to Evie Sands. Evie, happy 2016 to you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, and happy 2016 to you.
Take it or leave it. I don't know. I recorded that this morning on an archaic piece of equipment, but you could hear my younger daughter singing it in the background. I mean that. I mean and just for the audience, I mean that the ballads on that album are intoxicating, Evie. I mean, they're the most the hooks, the bridges. I mean, how much who besides yourself deserves credit for building the rhythmic foundations of those tunes? I mean, take me inside that session. This is something. I mean, anybody that does not understand a state of mind, then they need to go get it.
Well, I had, apart from writing myself, I had a wonderful, amazing, was a mentor and became a dear friend, Ben Wiseman, who unfortunately is not with us anymore. But Ben and I, and then a third person, sometimes Richard Germanaro. We wrote so many things together and had a lot of success. Ben wrote like 57 songs for Elvis, and then concertos, and it's just amazing. So we really had a vision for the songs that we wrote and what we wanted, and pretty much laid out a lot of the stuff. And then when we got in the studio, of course, obviously when it goes under the microscope and you can just sort of hear everything together, there's spontaneous ideas, and of course the players on the session, just so amazing, of course, and so then things take shape from there. Sometimes it's exactly kind of what's envisioned, and then I think that also gives, I've discovered anyway, that really gives freedom to then hear other things in the studio and be able to go there and say, oh, wait a minute, doing this is even better than what we envisioned, or expands on what we envisioned. So it was pretty exciting. By the way, a quick funny story, like that song, an artist, Jasmine Sullivan and Missy Elliott, took that, and as of course is done in these recent years, took it and made a new song out of it. Because for a while I started getting these royalties, and I just didn't recognize where they were coming from. And there was the title of the song. It's called "Excuse Me," and I thought, what is that? I mean, almost be honest, like maybe this shouldn't be coming to me. But I finally found out it was just because they took it. It wasn't just that they sampled it, which they did partly, but they rewrote the lyric. So instead of take it or leave it, it's like excuse me. It's a different thing. It came out about maybe like 3 years ago. But it's funny. I mean, that's fun stuff that happens.
Oh,
but yeah, yeah. So working with Ben Wiseman and then with Rich Germanaro, it was pretty great.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough the lilting, and I mean that bridge, when you go to that bridge in that song, I mean, was that your creation there? I mean, to me, it's like on top of the fact Ed Green was Barry White's drummer, I mean,
oh yeah, God, yeah, Ed, that's phenomenal. Well, one of the things, Ben had an expression, and it's sort of like, sometimes he would call it finding it's like the eighth day of the week, or the crack within the space. So when we're writing, there are definitely places that we're inspired to go, and then we step back and almost it's just somehow maybe being inspired to do something a little bit different that maybe isn't exactly where one might think it would go. I mean, there's a lot of places that things can go, and they could all be really good. But that bridge in particular, because I remember when we got there, we thought, where is this taking us? That eighth day is something different. That just, and when we hit on it, it just was like, yes, that's it. That's it.
I mean, what a treat. I mean, did I assume some of the rockier tunes got some, I mean that in rock and roll sense, not turbulence, but I mean, did Did that receive any airplay on the radio? Any of those tunes? Like, I mean, we came in with Women's Work Is Never Done, but there were a couple other ones too.
Oh yeah, there were. Let's see. On that album, I think there were two of the songs. I think they made it to like in the 30s on the Billboard chart. Partially, what happened, they were number one, top 5, top 10 in a lot of places, but it's always about connecting the dots. So when the record label didn't quite connect the dots like in time, so it would build, as you probably know, the way they would do the charts, it would have to all happen at the same time, and everything got so spread out and took several weeks and even months. So collectively, on any given week, they didn't sort of do it in the right way.
Right.
But yeah, two of the songs did, and then I think one or two did well in other genres or charts. But yeah, not to the extent where they hit it exactly the right way. So there was a solid impact, like everything, all at one time.
I've dedicated 2016 to the year of the woman on the Jake Feinberg show. I've interviewed 500 cats. Most of them have been men. I've gone across the board from, the origins of bluegrass to soul, jazz, and, rock and roll. Can you talk about your experience as a, incredibly vibrant, artistic female in a very heavy industry? Can you talk about as being a woman and your experience as that?
Yeah, well, it's pretty interesting. I just did something recently, part of a radio kind of a piece. I contributed about something with Bobby Gentry, and all of this sort of came up. And it, kind of in a nutshell, I would say that being a singer, there was never any problem for, like, at least to my experience as a female, being accepted as a singer. That was okay. I mean, that was the norm. Being a writer, there was a little more sort of an eyebrow, but still totally accepted because many incredible women had paved the way and had phenomenal talents. So it wasn't so much unusual. Being a musician and being accepted and being a producer, being behind the boards, that was really tricky, because we've all heard that expression, like, oh yeah, she plays pretty good for a chick.
Right.
Yeah,
sure.
So to be a female and be accepted as a musician, like serious musician, I think a female had to maybe play not only as good, but in some ways better, or just kind of have some pizzazz and be accepted. And really being in control to produce was so difficult. Well, and even on the radio, that was the thing. It was so difficult, no matter how amazing. And we look back on some of these recordings, and you go, really? The stations would say, oh, yeah, we do love it. We're going to add it this week, but we just played a female. It's like noon. Okay, we just played a female. We can't play another recording by a female until 10 tonight. I mean, that's what women were up against. So it was really, really frustrating, that part of it, for sure.
Well, I know you didn't expect to for the angle that I took with the State of Mind, but I've been pursuing you for a long time. Do you have a copy of Any Way You Want Me? I've never seen that album ever on vinyl.
Oh yeah. Well, that one was also reissued with a bonus track too, which was pretty cool.
I only listen to vinyl, and I just never seen.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I do. I mean, I actually have, like we would say, with like tubes and equipment, like NOS, like new old stock. I have some that are sealed, like from my original shipments that I got.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, I mean, we'll talk, Evie. I'd like to have you go back on for part 2 because I didn't want to get too locked into the Estate of Mind that I've been in for about a year now because it's just the most incredible album.
Thank you again. That's so nice. I appreciate it.
And we'll be in touch. It was just so great to have you on the program.
Well, this has just been so nice talking with you, and really, any time, Jake.
Happy New Year, Evie. I'll get you a copy of this as soon as possible, and we'll find a time for part 2.
Okay, sounds great, and thank you, and again, Happy New Year to you and your family too.
Cheers, my friend. Okay.
Okay, cheers.
All right, we'll be right back on the Jake Feinberg Show.